This is a Generation Iron exclusive, and we are going to recap the 2019 Arnold Classic. And as always, King Kamali style, no bullshit, straight up. Some feelings might get hurt. Fuck it, doesn't really matter. We're just gonna bring reality to you. So here we go. Let's get started. As a special guest and a special treat, I brought my best friend, one of my oldest OGs in this industry. We've gone through hell and back together. One of the best amateur bodybuilders, should have been a pro a long time ago, and one of the badass physiques ever, Mr. Robbie Lopez.
Thank you. Thank you for Generation Iron for having me to do this recap.
All right, so we're gonna get started, and we're gonna go backwards, starting from 12, going down to 1, all right?
Okay.
So 12th place, we had Mikhail Bolinkin. He's a Generation Iron guy. From what I've heard from Vlad and Edwin, he's a really, really nice guy. But Robbie, let's kick the ballistics here, man. Just was not ready to step on the Arnold Classic stage.
I mean, I personally think it was his first Arnold Classic. I mean, first and foremost, it was an honor for him to even get to the stage. So,
True.
You know, I'll give him props for that.
Yeah,
Good.
Definitely props. And he was last year's amateur overall champion. That's why he got the invite this year.
I didn't know. That is a big stage for being your first IFBB show.
So 11th place went to Charles Dixon. A little tank. Just an absolute little tank. Charles, he's a 212 guy, and I actually didn't notice until I spoke to Robbie about it, but you told me that the reason why he's competing in the open class?
He just loves to compete. Charles likes a challenge. So when they took away the 212 class, so he said to himself, I'm pretty sure, hey, the guy loves to compete. I think he looked great.
Yeah, you give him props for that. Absolutely. You know what, man? It's not easy to step on, especially the Arnold Classic stage.
Absolutely.
But, you know, when he walked out, I started smiling. You got to smile when you see him. He's a little tank.
Again, I'm going to give him props for even just having the courage to step on stage with the big boys.
Yeah, he's good. So now we get into the nitty gritty. 10th place, your boy, my friend, our friend, we all love him, Mr. Victor Martinez.
Victor Martinez is a legend.
Yeah, he is definitely a legend. I personally did not have him in 10th place. I had Victor in 8th place.
I agree. I had him a little bit higher. I mean, granted, you know what it is? I think what happens with Vic and with some of the competitors, you're actually judged from your past as opposed to what you look present day. I think this is the best Vic that we've seen in a long time. So, Vic, I give you props for that.
I totally agree with you. It was the best Victor we've seen in a while.
Unfortunately, Victor, I think, was competing against the old Victor. So he still has the size. You know, he still has those great lines, that beautiful shape. It's just, I personally think he decided to work on more conditioning instead of playing the size game.
Yeah, he tried to come in streamlined, which he did. He brought back the beautiful Victor shape, which he did,
yes.
But he sacrificed size. And where are we right now, Robbie? 2019.
Yes.
It's all about...
It's a different era.
It is a different era. These guys are monsters, and that's just the way it is. And again, personally, I had Victor in 8th place. I don't know about you.
I would have Victor about 8th place. I'd be comfortable with Victor at 8th place.
Okay. So, Victor, man, keep going. Love you, brother. Love you. All right, so next we have 9th place was Akeem Williams. Another friend of yours.
Big Akeem.
Big Akeem. Akeem has everything you can possibly want for a bodybuilder.
Akeem has all the tools.
Yes, he does.
Freaky size, that big, deep 3D type muscle. It's just got to get that conditioning. What I also notice, I think he tends to kind of lose it as he goes on in the prejudging. He comes out sharp. Again, this is just my opinion, but then he tends to lose it a little bit.
Do you think, Robbie, because you're experienced and so am I, do you think that has to do with the mental aspect of you're not getting the call outs and you're like,
oh, of course. Listen, I've been in that position where I thought I was going to win a show,
right,
and then I don't make first call out. So all of a sudden your demeanor changes and that adrenaline, that extra umph, if you want to call it that, you kind of lose it.
Yeah. So the cortisol levels go up.
Exactly.
You start to retain a little bit of water, as we call it, spilling over, and at that point you.
And then again, if you get in that second or third call out, your enthusiasm for hitting your poses seems to change as well too.
Right.
So
exactly.
But he looked great. I think he looked good. I think this. I personally think this is probably the best Akeem that we've seen today.
All right. So Robbie, now we got 8th place, Josh Lenardowitz.
Josh,
What'd you think?
I thought he looked phenomenal. I had the pleasure of meeting Josh last year and getting to hang out with him. Such a genuinely good person.
Yeah, you hear that from a lot of people.
I mean, legit, I've known a lot of people in this industry. He's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met in this industry. I actually had him before the show, you know, with all the hype, I thought he was going to win the show.
Really?
You know what? He just has that crazy, freaky size.
Right.
And I was seeing his condition, how it was coming along.
Right.
You know, things happen as in this sport, but he looked great. He looked great. I personally would have had him about 7. I could have went back and forth with him and Raphael. I would have had Josh ahead of Raphael.
Okay.
My opinion.
All right, Josh, again, I agree with you. Massive size. I didn't have him winning the show, but I had him maybe in the top 3 before the contest.
Yeah.
But as soon as he walked out, I saw the water.
Of course.
And let me ask you this, because I have my own personal opinions. Do you think that has a lot to do with that 23-hour flight to
I
Australia?
absolutely think it has a lot to do with that. Coming up, in 3 weeks is the Arnold in Australia. I guarantee you we will see a different Josh in Australia. He's going to be right in his backyard. You won't have to do that traveling. That takes a toll on him.
Yeah, I second that. I think he's going to look a lot better in Australia. All right, so now we get to Rafael Brando, the pretty boy from Brazil. All right, so before I say what I'm about to say, let's get something straight here. I love my Brazilians. Viva Brazil, you guys are awesome. Everything about Brazil I love. But don't get mad at me for this. I'm just going to kick the ballistics, and we got to be real here. I don't see Rafael Brando as a men's open competitor. I see him as a legitimate top 5, top 3 Mr. Olympia Classic bodybuilding competitor. What do you think?
I agree. When I look at Rafael, again, I don't know him personally, and I'm not saying anything negative against him. He has a classic bodybuilder's physique.
Exactly.
From what I've been told, that he might not be able to make the weight class. It's funny, Rafael comes out by himself, he looks amazing. He looks the winner of the show. But then when you line him up with, all the other guys, he gets out-muscled. Not outclassed, he gets out-muscled.
Exactly.
He's got beautiful, beautiful lines.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point too. That has nothing to do with Rafael. Has nothing to do with his physique. But you're in the men's open. You're in the super freaks. Yeah. He is not a super freak. He has a beautiful body. He has a beautiful body, and I would personally love to see him standing next to Bumstead, Breon,
yes.
George.
I think he'd fare very well.
Yeah, I think he would fare well too. I would love to see him next to George. To see, because George's got that muscularity too, and Bumstead with that beautiful.
He reminds me of a Bumstead. The way his physique is.
It would be very, very nice to see that. Again, Rafael, congratulations for what you did, but personally, I had Rafael in 10th place, just from the mass factor alone. If you're in the men's open, you gotta have the muscle. This is a game of muscularity, not just cuts. Not just cuts.
At the end of the day, this is still bodybuilding.
Yes, it is.
Bodybuilding is about the mass market.
Exactly, and that is exactly why Jim Mannion brought us the classic division.
Exactly.
Right? So people like him. Okay, so then we have Rafael. Next, we have the surprise of the show. I'm sure it was a surprise for you, Steve Ku Klux.
Steve, yes.
Talk to me about Steve.
I thought he looked amazing. I think this was the best Steve Ku Klux to date. I remember Steve when he went back being a teenager, and it's amazing to see how his career has come along. Another great guy. He looked phenomenal.
Yes,
I think he had a great show, and what I loved most about him was his enthusiasm on stage. Whereas everybody seemed to have gotten tired over the course of the prejudging and even the night show, he just had so much energy.
Yeah, and another thing that what Steve does is he feeds off of his family and friends.
Of course.
And his family backs him, and that's huge. His family and friends back him, and you can see in the audience, he's always looking in the audience, and he starts doing a little fist pump, and that's his blood given to him.
He's got great energy on stage.
Yeah, he's got great energy. Steve, and I agree, Steve was right there. I mean, I had Steve in solid sixth place too. I think he deserves exactly what he got. All right, so let's get into the top 5 now. Roelly Winklaar, 5th place.
What can we say about Roelly? He there was a lot of things. Well, I think we're starting to find out after the fact. Food poisoning and stuff, and I'm surprised he showed up in the condition that he showed up. From the pictures that we saw of him guest posing, I thought there was no way the guy was going to get ready for the show. He pulled it together. I thought he looked great. I mean, he wasn't the best Roelly, but he's got just so much muscle on him.
So let me ask you this: are you one of those guys that believes in that you shouldn't do the Olympia and Arnold because you're not going to peak? Are you one of those guys?
No, I think a true champion loves to compete and loves the battle. I would love. I mean, because I remember back in the day, Ronnie did both the Olympia and the Arnold at one time.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that since Ronnie. I mean, I think there's time enough apart where you should be able to do both.
Do you think that Roelly was rolling the dice saying, okay, I just got third at the Olympia. I'm the number one guy going in. I can win the Arnold Classic, and I'm going to have all this clout?
No, I don't think so. I think Roelly does his homework, and he trains hard, and he comes up at every show.
He was pissed
different.
off when he got, when he got his placing on stage. You could see he was pissed
Yeah,
off.
but how do we know he wasn't mad at himself? You know what I'm saying? Or not mad at himself, but mad at the situations that happened to get him that. Because that could have been it also. I don't think he was. I'm not going to. Again, I don't know for a fact, but I'm not going to say he was mad at his placings per se. But probably just mad at the situations that happened.
Okay, yeah. See, Roelly, I personally had Roelly in 4th place. I had him one spot up. He's still very. I mean, and when he just stands there, and especially his back double bicep shot,
he's got muscle.
It's muscle on top of muscle. Yeah, he looks like one of those myostatin cows that you see. Bulls, Belgian bulls that you see on the internet. Yeah, Roelly was awesome, man. I think I like Roelly. I love his personality and attitude. He's a bodybuilder's bodybuilder.
If you like bodybuilding, Roelly is your.
Yeah, and there's a reason why that they voted for him as being the people's champ at the Olympia, right? I think he took over the reins from Branch Warren. Branch was that guy. Branch stepped aside, and Roelly took his place.
He's a hard worker.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so now we have Cederick Mcmillian, 4th place. Talk to me about Cedric.
Cedric, what can we say about Cedric? What can I say about Cedric that everybody else? He is Mr. Olympia in the wings waiting. We're just waiting for the right Cedric to show up.
Exactly.
That's all it is. He's got all the tools, God-given tools. It's just a matter of just him, just for one day, one show, maybe even for 1 hour to pull it together.
That's true. And I was getting pictures from his coach weeks in advance and leading up to the show. And that is why I went and did the last Generation Iron exclusive, and I said I thought he was going to win because I was watching the pictures that he was coming up. Cedric, he's this close away. I mean, let me put it to you this way. Let me ask you an honest question. 100% Cedrick McMillian, 100% Sean Roden. Who wins?
Oh, Cedric.
See, that's the point I'm trying to make. And people get mad at me and this and that. Okay, Robbie's not going to bullshit. If you don't know Robbie, let me tell you something. He'll tell you you got booger on your face or you got something in your teeth. He's going to tell you. Cedrick McMillian, 100% is Mr. Olympia. Is Mr. Olympia.
He's got all the tools.
He has everything. Lee Haney said it. Lee Haney saw him and said, yeah, that's Mr. Olympia. Arnold said it. Arnold said, yep, that's Mr. Olympia. Cedric's problem is, again, I'm trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. It seems to me with Cedric, it's more of a mental thing than anything else. We all know that he's not a kill-yourself trainer, super hardcore guy. Cedric. He does what he wants to do. Do you think that if he went to like Kuwait, or if he went under Neil, what's that guy's name, Neil, who's training Ramy? Yeah, Neil. You think that they could make a difference, or Cedric is just going to listen to himself?
You know what? I'm not a believer of going somewhere that's going to make you a champion. You're a champion. It doesn't make a difference if you're in your basement or if you're in a big-time gym or whatever. A champion is a champion is a champion.
In most cases.
Again, I don't personally know Cedric, so I don't know what his work ethic is like. I'm just giving my opinion on what I see in the day of the show.
Right.
He looks great, but I just personally feel he can be so much better.
Do you think he's going to be better at Australia? And because all these guys are coming back to Australia, what do you think he's going to do in Australia?
Again, now we're putting into play that 24-hour flight. That can change a lot.
Listen, folks, it's a 23-hour flight to Australia. Yeah, that water retention you come off the plane and your ankles are like this.
Yeah, that's why I say Josh is going to have an edge on everybody because that's his backyard.
Right. Okay. Cedric, I had in 3rd place. He's placed 4th. And I had him in 3rd place. And let's not forget, he wasn't in the first call out, Robbie.
No, he wasn't.
Neither was Steve.
Yeah,
Ku Klux wasn't in the first call out.
He fought his way back up there.
They both fought. And that goes to show you guys, you got to fight when you're going into prejudging. If you don't get that call out, Fight all the way to the end. Let's go to third place, Luke Sandow, which was the surprise of the entire show.
He surprised me.
Yeah. What do you think?
I thought he looked phenomenal. I mean, from what I've seen, this is the best Luke Sandow that we've seen to date. His conditioning was spot on.
Right.
His size, he had great size. He looked like he belonged. I thought it was a great showing for him.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. I don't know him, but I'm just looking at his physique. He doesn't have the classical, beautiful Cedrick physique or the Sean Roden physique. He doesn't have that. But what he does have is muscle on top of muscle, and he was in shape.
Yes.
Personally, again, this is just my opinion. I had him in 5th place, and I had Cedrick and Roelly ahead of him.
I would have flip-flopped Cedrick and Luke. I would have had Cedrick at 3rd, Luke at 4th.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I don't think anybody could have argued that.
Yeah, definitely. I had him in Cedrick at 3rd place too. Okay, so now we come to the top 2. William Bonac, last year's champion.
Oof, what can I say? William's a beast.
Yeah.
William, I was conflicted on which way they were going to go. William looked phenomenal. I thought he bought his A game again.
Yes.
Again, his consistency is out of this world.
Yeah, he's got the Dexter
I
Jackson.
was just going to say that.
He's just like Dexter.
Dexter syndrome.
Right.
You have not. Nobody's. I don't think to this date have seen an out of shape William Bonac.
No, it's not, and you're not going to see
And
it.
I don't think we will.
No, you're not going to see it. Again, he was a slightly less William-y from last year. Last year he was off the chains, big, and absolutely shredded. He was there again, but not as much. And I think it was that aspect that the judges remembered last year.
Again, like I said before, sometimes you judge against your
yourself.
last showing as opposed to what you are that day.
Thank you. William was competing against himself.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So we agree on that.
Winner and new Arnold Classic champion, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, Brandon Curry.
All right, we both agree Brandon should have won the show.
Brandon, I thought, again, I was flip-flop, but then as I kept watching, Brandon just, his shape, that beautiful shape.
Yep.
And he finally bought the Brandon that everybody's been looking for. He made vast improvements since last year.
Yes, he did.
His legs were his thing that were kind of hindering him.
Yep.
As soon as he turned around, the legs were there, the hamstrings were there, the glutes were there.
Brandon is not going to have those sweepy quads like Dennis Wolf or something. It's not going to happen. What he did, though, is he increased his inner thighs to make that illusion. Look back, kids. This is a big lesson. He knows genetically he couldn't build the outer sweeps. What did he do? He added 2 inches on his inner thighs, and it's kind of matched out and even. And I said before the pre-show that if his legs catch up to his upper body, he's going to be very, very dangerous. We did the top 12, and we agreed and we disagreed, and we did what we had to do. Let's go to the supplemental awards. Best poser, Josh. What do you think?
Great poser, classic posing for a guy that size too to move smoothly like that.
Yeah, that was a surprising part. He wasn't a big uncoordinated.
You would expect somebody of his size to be a little black, but he was very smooth. Great poser.
Yeah, good. I agree too. And most muscular,
Most of course, who else? William Bonac.
William Bonac. I mean, there's absolutely no. Roelly could give him a run for his money, but Roelly wasn't holding his water.
The condition I think held Roelly back from getting that award. I want a special shout out to one of the competitors, one of the wheelchair competitors who I used to compete against back in the day, Chris Dim.
Oh yes, Chris Dim.
It just
Must have brought back tremendous memories for you.
It brought great memories, but at the same time, it's like, he had a very bad incident that happened to him through one of his surgeries, but it's amazing to see his willpower and dedication and not let his ailments hold him back, and he was on that Arnold Classic stage once again.
Yep.
Shout out to you, Chris.
Yep. Much respect, Chris Dim. Much respect. Okay, that was it. That's the recap. I just have one last quick thing to say, and this is me getting something off my chest. for the next time anybody, all you promoters, and I know that Dan Solomon is going to promote the Mr. Olympia. For the love of fucking Christ, don't move the camera around during prejudging. This is bodybuilding. Keep the camera in one spot so we can do comparison. Bodybuilding is comparisons. You're comparing one person to another. This is not basketball or football when you're running around on a field or a court. That's when the camera moves. Keep the camera in one spot so we can look at the athletes and say, oh, that guy is better at that one. Stop moving the camera around, you fucking douchebags. All right, that's all I had to say. All right, Robbie, love you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
He's going to be back. We're going to do this again. A lot of different locations. We got a whole bunch of surprises for you guys. Love you, Generation Iron. That's all, bitches.